just so y'all know, the list so far is Cease, Alex, John Wilson, Gabe Bach, Brian, Passwaters, Olin, and Mike.
So all of us.
Hey, Brad, I didn't mean to be on the queue. I was responding to your thing.
Oh, my bad. So you don't want to ask a question?
I mean, maybe later. I'll let the other guys ask questions first, though.
Okay, so Brent says he wants to jump in Alex Miller's spot. He'll be the tribute or something.
I didn't know you could lobby to move up in the queue.
Sell it.
I'll trade you a future question for a future second round question for a later first, Brad.
Yeah. Ready?
All right, Coach. We got some questions for you. First up from Robert Cessna at the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Well, it don't look like anybody can argue, understand what there's going on. I ain't going to ask. You ask. You guys arguing over that. What if y'all had to organize a practice and run a practice? You got 4 questions there.
Wow, that's tough to follow. But, Coach, how's the defense matured, do you feel, under Elko? And is there anything significant about a third year in a system?
Can you say that again, please? You broke up.
Sure. How has the defense matured under Elko? And is there anything special about the third year in a system?
Well, I mean, the first thing about being in the third year in a system is you've recruited a couple classes. So hopefully you've gotten guys that you feel that fit into your defense. 2, your older guys, you've learned them to understand how to use them better and put them in position to be successful. And then more important, they understand what the coaches are trying to coach and do. And I think it makes for a lot more continuity. And you see that on the field. And and your question about Mike, what makes it unique? Is that what you said? Or what on Elko defense? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, the maturity.
Maturity. Yes, you got guys that know what to do, how to do it. We're bigger, we're stronger. I think we're faster. Guys know where to fit. They know how the coverages, they know the calls, they know the checks. Because in today's time, what's going on offensively, there's a lot of multiple formations. There's a lot of hurry-up ball, and there's a lot of motions and things that cause a lot of little continuity issues when you're not totally on the same page, when you don't have all the answers to everything. And like I say, we have a saying within our team, we're fighting for the inches. I mean, oftentimes it's 5 or 6 inches that determine a game, and an inch on 5 different plays that change the game. And sometimes if they can get you out of position or you can leverage the ball right on your side, you win those battles. And, hopefully we're finding those inches and the continuity with the consistency in which we play with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question is from John Wilson from KBTX, and then we'll go to Gabe Bach.
Sorry about that, Coach. I wanted to see how deep and talented that you think this year's running back group could be.
I like where we're going. I mean, you had Isaiah Spiller coming back. Of course, you put Anias in there who really had a great bowl game and has had an outstanding camp so far. So those 2 guys have a lot of experience. But the young guys have jumped in there. I mean, they really have. I mean, Devon Chain is out there practicing well right now. He's in practice. He can do a lot of things. He is a very, very smooth athlete, catches the ball really well, but runs. He's strong. Connor Blumrick moving back there gives you a lot of diversity if you want to do things, and because he knows the offense and he can even go back and play some quarterback. Crownover is a big back, 25, 30 pounds, who catches the ball extremely well, runs inside. Hubbard, another freshman, I think a lot of power, a lot of speed, burst, again, good ball skills. DeAndre Jackson, same way. I mean, those guys are all big body guys, and I've been very pleased with their learning curve so far and their ability to run between the tackles and their ability to catch the football. And when they've had a chance, the older guys are, the pass blocking things have been very good. The young guys are knowing who to do it. Got to get the technique a little bit more sound. But, I like that group. And then A.J. Sanders is a walk-on, and Connor Cook. And then, of course, Baldry back there who plays at fullback and does a lot for us, Reeves and Rutledge. But those guys, that group of scholarship guys have done a really nice job so far for only 6 practices. Some things I think they've taken advantage of the ability of all the walkthroughs and the extra meeting time.
Let's move to Gabe Bach and then Brian Ferroni.
Yeah, Jimbo, there have been some murmurs about out there, so I wanted to give you a chance to respond and give us an update on Cameron Buckley.
Yeah, Cam did suffer a season-ending injury He had an ACL injury that he had surgery yesterday. Everything was very clean in the surgery, so he will miss the year.
How big a blow is that, Jimbo? Especially.
Oh, it
being a
is. I mean, you're
senior?
talking about a guy that plays a lot of ball, been in a lot of games for 2 years, made a lot of plays. I mean, running routes and very multiple in his positions that he could play, not just in the slot, could play outside at both places, and just knows the offense and was a very good player and a good leader on our football team.
Jimbo.
Next question is from Brian Peroni at 247 Sports, and then Mark Passwaters.
Well, I was going to ask you about Cam Buckley as well, so I'll just move to the tight ends. Is that just having him not in the slot maybe mean more two tight end sets with Baylor Cupp and Jalen Weidemeyer? And if not, who's possibly taking over for Buckley with those slot?
Well, we could, but we know a receiver now. We're doing a really nice job in our receiver group. Our young guys are really coming on. Of course, Jamon, but Cam Brown's been in that group. Chapman's playing really well. Demas has had a good camp. Hezekiah Jones getting him back has been really good. Chase Lane and Moose have done a good job. Preston, Devin Price, and Dave. I mean, we got a good group in there now. There's some guys that can move around. I've been very pleased with that group. I mean, they got to get a little more consistent on a couple things, but the ability to run, playmaking ability and things has been very good. And, and then we're always going to mix in tight end sets as much as we possibly can. I believe it's just something I like to do. I think it creates mismatches, and we have guys that can block and catch, so it can create some advantages for us.
Let's go to Mark Passwaters at Rivals.com, and then Owen Buchanan.
Jimbo, you got your defensive tackles starters set with Peavy and Brown, and that's a good pairing, but you've got a lot of guys behind them, looking for playing time. Has anybody flashed? Obviously Adarius is out, but you still got a lot of guys, including a bunch of freshmen, to kind of look at there.
Well, I think they've done more than flash. I mean, you're assuming those guys start, and they've done a really nice job. But I mean, you got Marv Leal, who plays inside and outside. We move him in there on things. Who can do both. As a phenomenal football player. Derek Hunter's had his moments doing some things. I guess we lost Jones to an injury, but the young guys, Rogers has done a really nice job. But then the three young guys with McKinley Jackson, Isaiah Rakes, and Dallas Walker, all we're very pleased with. We think have a chance to be really good football players, and each brings a different skill set to the table. So the depth in there, we're continuing to build those young guys the quicker they get ready. But, you're seeing flashes from all those guys. I'll put it this way. I'm very happy I recruited all those guys. Or not me, but our staff recruited all those guys. I'm glad we did.
Next question is from Owen Buchanan from Texags, and then Mike Lucas.
Hi, Jimbo. I was wondering, what's your philosophy as far as how to use your running backs? Do you prefer to have one guy that's going to get the significantly more carries in a feature pack, or do you like to balance it out?
I've done both. I mean, I really have. I've had guys that were so dominant you had to take them off the field, and then we did it. We had years with Dalvin Cook and some of those guys, and we did it with Travion. I mean, in where we were. But at other times, I've had years. For instance, we won the national championship. Freeman, Wilder, and Carlos Williams one had 1,100, one had about 700, one had about 600. They all had 10 or more touchdowns. All three of them did. So, I mean, it's just the diversity in what you're asking, what the game plan dictates, and their skill sets. And it can be a guy that can carry it that many times and take that many snaps. Can his body, certain guys just, feet can do that. Certain guys can't. It doesn't make them any less players, just what their skill sets are. So, it's better to have a lot of guys from the fact that, because injuries occur. That's a position. It's a very physical position. It's a very demanding position. And, like to have those guys. So, but, we'll play as many guys as we feel capable. And because like I say, this is going to be a very hard physical season with 10 SEC games.
And if I can do a follow-up right quick.
One time.
Okay, thanks. So what would your response then be to some that might suggest that giving a guy a lot of carries makes him less attractive to, say, NFL teams later on?
It didn't make Dalvin Cook less attractive. It didn't make Cam Akers. Didn't make Devontae Freeman. Joe Adai, those guys I had back then. Steve Davis at Auburn. I mean, you say all that, but I think different guys, they understand it goes both ways. It just depends on the situation. Those guys all are, and Dalvin and them are all pro, fixing to have another huge contract. I mean, those guys, listen, you can't put everybody, we can't stereotype everybody. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. I just want one that plays really, really good. And I think the NFL wants one that plays really, really good.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question is from Mike Lucas at KAGS, and then Brent Zwerman.
Hey, Coach, when we talked to Anthony last week, he said he was impressed when Anais was picking up Michael Clemens in blitzes back there in pass protection. How is Anais and Isaiah, how are those guys improving in that aspect of their game?
Well, I think their knowledge of recognition and understanding calls, and then when we make the slide and the protection call, what their assignment is, I think just from their knowledge of being there. Say Isaiah, it's his first year in the system last year, so sometimes, and if defenses disguise things, which a lot of people do, deciphering through that, I think their decision making is much better right now, which now allows them to play faster. It allows them to know who they're blocking, which allows them to engage their defender a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. And because one of the key things for backs is engaging guys closer to the line of scrimmage so they don't get that big head of steam to be able to run over you, even though if your technique's perfect. So them recognizing it, seeing blitzes, getting to those spots, and then in turn knowing what to do, and then their technique gets better because they know who they're blocking, so they know what the techniques to apply. So, I think it's just knowledge and their ability to keep learning.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question is from Brent Zwerneman with the Houston Chronicle, and then Justin Woodard.
Jimbo, how is your offensive line shaping up? I'm assuming you're pleased with your first five. I guess your depth has taken a little bit of a hit with some medical retirements. But overall, how pleased are you with it, or how is your offense?
They're doing a solid job. They're going against a very good defensive line, and they've had their moments and really done some good things, and had some times that those guys have won too, which, as a head coach, I say, man, I want to make every block. But then as a head coach, I say, man, I want them to get beat because the other guys on the other side got to put some pass rush in the game too. So I think it's been good. They've developed well. They're working hard. They're a physically, mentally tough guy group that works hard. They're becoming more physical. Their pad levels are getting better. I think that's the key. Pad level, hat placement, first step, getting their bodies, like we talked about with the backs, in position to do the things they want to do. And their communication, they've been together for a while. So I think you see that. And that's also helping our tight ends and backs too. And the young guys, there's some good young players in this group now. We lost some guys, like you say, with injuries, but the young guys that we've signed are all, I think, going to be good players. They're getting a lot of reps. There's some even guys, not just the guys we just signed, but, Blake Traynor and Layden Robinson are guys that jump out at me that are both big, physical, that can be really good football players for us down the road. Then, of course, the guys that come in, Grayson Reed's back. He's healthy. Of course, Aki, we signed him, has done a good job. Chris Morris is going to be a really good player. I'll tell you another guy, Luke Matthews. I've been pleased with his progress. I really like him playing at center. He makes some good calls, getting better. He got more physical. He's much more comfortable doing all because they say center is a big. That's besides quarterback, you got the most calls of anybody. And I think, and we change plays and do things. I'm very pleased with his progress. Of course, he's going to continue to get better. And of course, Kenyon's doing it, and Smart and Bankhead. Those guys all have ability. They're learning, and 6 practices in. I think the next 6 is going to be very 6 to 8 or 10. To me, is going to be critical on how because most everything's kind of been installed, at least the majority of it. So just letting them enhance their techniques and knowledge of what's going on.
Also, and I'm going to assume media members' invitations were lost in the mail, but understand congratulations are in order. And when and where were you married?
Thank you. We was married here in town, and it was a big ceremony. It was her and I and the preacher. So that was it. It was a COVID wedding. We didn't want to jeopardize anybody or put anybody at risk, and we did that. And I'm very blessed to have a great bride in Courtney.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to Justin Woodard at KAGS, and then Gabe Bach.
Coach, what have you seen from the secondary? I know you probably got a lot of versatility back there to move guys around, but just interested to see their play against your wide receivers so far in fall camp and the competition and just how that group's coming along in the back end.
It has been. I think in the back, I think Miles Jones has led that group at the corners. I think he's playing really well, running well, and probably the best shape he's been in a while as far as his strength and everything that goes on. Trayvon Fuller has done some really good job. He and Chap, Elijah Blades. Devin was doing really good. Has had some good things happen. The guys we signed there at corner, I'm really happy with. I think Brian George is doing an outstanding job. Jalen Jones has been outstanding from the minute he walked on the campus. He acts like a senior. Josh Moten has really done some good things as far as knowledge, competing. What I love about all that group, they're competing. So our guys win. Okay. A lot of contested balls, a lot of breakups, a lot of really good coverage, and a lot of battles there. Safety-wise, Carper done a really nice job. Leon's probably in the best shape he's been in. Damani is really done well. Getting Tucker back is good. Brian Williams has really trimmed up and running well. Eric Young, who's doing both. Eric's played corner, he's played safety, and he's played nickel. And then those things have done a really good job. And then Antonio Johnson, man, I think he's done another group that we signed. That group we signed I think has done an outstanding job and has a great future. I really do. So been very pleased with those guys. The competition has been very well, and the multiplicity of places we can play them. Because you have to do that in the secondary now. You got to match guys up, and guys are learning different things. So been we got that work to do because you got new guys in there, and you kind of mix. You put the new guys with the old guys, and all of a sudden those new guys can't quite handle all the checks and all that. But you got to do that right now because you're going to have to mix. It's like you do in the O-line. You don't know who's going to play and what's going to happen. So we're mixing those guys in. But I love the athleticism. I love the ball skills. I think we got excellent ball skills in the secondary. And I think that makes a big difference, not just covering, but the ability to judge the football, play the football in the air. And when you got chances to get turnovers, do that. You know what I mean? And or cover fumbles. And people don't realize, I think we overlook ball skills sometimes on the defensive side of the football when you're talking about turnovers.
Next question is from Gabe Bach at Texags, and then we'll go to John Wilson.
More turnovers will happen when you get a better pass rush, Jimbo. Do you think you're starting to really establish some depth there too? And can you tell us about the competition at defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, Clemens has been outstanding. Physical, big, is in great shape. Tyree is doing really good. Jeremiah Martin has grown into his body. He's doing there. Rebo is getting better. Marvin Leal has been outstanding. I mean, the guy inside, outside, but just a natural football player and leader. And the young guys we've resigned, Donnell Harris, man. Talk about burst. He's gained about 20 pounds since he's been here. Burst, can dip the shoulder, can run. Is doing an outstanding job, I think, for a young guy. Fidel Diggs, strong, physical, heavy-handed in what he does. Mowry, kind of in between. He's athletic and big. Got a group of both. So those guys have all done well. They've moved them around, different stunts, blitzes. They can, speed rush you, power rush you. It's a good group. I like what we're doing, and along with the blitz packages, which we're installing.
Next question is from John Wilson at KBTX, and then we'll finish up with Travis Brown.
Coach, you guys are still a month away from the season, but the high school football schedule kicks off a little bit tonight, and more importantly, a big bunch of games tomorrow. Do you get a sense of excitement, or do you get excited knowing that we're about to have football in this state, especially the importance of high school football in Texas?
Yes, first of all, for recruiting, but first of all, for the experience of playing in high school. I don't think there's a purer thing in the world you do, and you're in a state that it means probably more than anywhere in the United States. I know it does, and what happens, and there's great programs everywhere, but Texas high school football, is legendary. And, just knowing those kids get to fulfill their dreams, and I know they were scared. They were probably scared to death. I don't get to play my senior year and play football. Like some folks lost spring sports. And, man, that's a big deal. You only get that chance one time when you're a kid, and to lose that is tough. But for these guys to have it, I'm very excited. I'm very excited, to be able to watch some football. And I think it's another good sign that we're heading in the right direction so we can get college football, we can get pro football. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the college season kicks off this weekend too there's an FCS game, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it not FCS? It's Arkansas State. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't 1AA. It was 1A. But those schools are all playing. So that's another great sign that we're heading forward to what we can do, and people are controlling the outbreaks of what's going on.
All right, and we'll finish up with Travis Brown from the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Hey, Coach. Just curious, with everything that's going around in the professional sports world with teams not postponing games, boycotting games, what has the conversation been like? Has there been a resurgence of conversation in your locker room along with these things and how they tie in with social justice issues?
There's no doubt. Our players are very aware of the players are very aware of what's going on and how they're doing it. There's conversations amongst themselves. We had one in our individual meeting yesterday. We haven't had as many big discussions in that regard. I haven't heard it that way, but kids are aware of, passing in the hallway talks and things that are going on, and we're all observing and things. And, we all want equality for everybody. That's what this world is, when everybody's looked at equally and treated fairly, and everything that goes on in regards to everything in this world. And that's what we all want for ourselves, for our players, for our children, for everybody in this world. And, that's the thing that the fight is for, and they got to continue that fight, and we got to continue that fight.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, that's all the questions on the queue. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Coach.
Jimbo.
Thank you.